It was May 3, 2022 in Cedar Falls, Iowa, when I moved into a second-floor apartment above a closed hair salon. I worked nights at a campus library, so daylight hours were my quiet time. The place looked safe. One hallway, one stairwell, one steel door with a deadbolt that clacked solid whenever I turned the key. I kept a simple routine: sleep until noon, brew coffee, read a chapter of some dusty mystery, then bike to work by 4. Nothing felt strange that first week except for a faint chemical smell in the hallway, like floor wax that never faded. On my 8th morning, I woke to a soft buzz just outside my bedroom. It sounded like a phone on vibrate. I patted around. My cell sat on the nightstand, dark. The buzz stopped. I shrugged and made coffee. Later, I noticed a tiny smear of blue paint on the inside knob of the front door. I wiped it away, telling myself the landlord had been touching up hall trim. 2 days later, after a long shift shelving books, I climbed the stairs and saw a narrow piece of masking tape stretched across my doorframe, head high, like a booby trap for insects. I peeled it off. No handwriting, no purpose. My stomach knotted. I checked the lock, unchanged, then walked every corner of the apartment. Closet empty. Kitchen silent. Still, I dragged a dining chair under the knob and jammed it there before bed. Around 10 a.m., half awake, I heard the buzz again. This time it came from the living room. I rolled out of bed and crept to the doorway. Nothing moved, but the chair at the front door now leaned sideways, as if nudged. I told myself I knocked it over during the night, though the legs scraped grooves I would have heard. I reset the chair and tried to laugh. The next afternoon I came home early. Sunlight slanted through blinds and lit dust motes drifting in odd spirals. The chemical smell was stronger. I followed it to the bathroom. Blue paint flakes dotted the sink. My toothbrush lay on the floor, bristles bent. Cold pinched my neck. I picked up the brush with 2 fingers and tossed it. A rational voice blamed faulty ceiling paint. The emotional voice packed an overnight bag. I slept at a coworker's place and returned the next morning to gather more clothes. When I unlocked the door, the masking tape was back. Same spot, same angle. I entered slowly. Air felt heavy, silent. I found another strip of blue tape across the bedroom closet and one on the bathroom mirror. My scalp tingled. I dialed the landlord. He insisted no maintenance crew visited, and he lived an hour away. He offered to change locks in 2 days. I asked for tomorrow. He sighed, said he'd try. That night, restless on my friend's couch, I scanned neighborhood forums. One thread mentioned break-ins where tenants found tape or wax seals left intact as a sign no one had opened doors. Burglars used it to track empty units. Most cases were older suburbs, not college towns, but dread burrowed in. I called the police non-emergency number. The officer filed a short report and advised moving out if possible. I decided to stay one last night to guard my stuff until locks changed. I arrived at dusk, armed with a hardware store door brace bar. The hallway smelled thickly of chemicals now. My eyes stung. Inside, the place looked untouched, but an eerie blue glow leaked from beneath the pantry door. I held still. The fridge hummed. My breath sounded too loud. I pressed an ear to the pantry wood. A faint buzz, same as before. I yanked the door open. An LED camping lantern sat on the floor, switched on. Beside it lay a half-eaten protein bar, crumbs fresh. My heart slammed. Someone had stood here minutes earlier. I ran to the front door, slid the brace into place, and dialed 911. While the dispatcher spoke, a soft knock came from the bedroom closet. 3 slow taps. I whispered the update. She told me to stay on the line, officers en route. Another knock, quicker. Then the closet door creaked. I gripped a kitchen knife with slick palms and inched down the hallway. The bedroom light was off, but moonlight outlined the closet gap, 2 inches open. Inside that gap, an eye reflected, catching the hallway glow. I froze. The eye blinked once. My scream caught in my throat. I backed away, kicked the door brace free, and flung the main door open just as 2 officers reached the top of the stairs. They swept the apartment in minutes and dragged out a thin man in gray coveralls, blue painter's tape stuck to his sleeves. In his pocket they found a buzzing electric toothbrush motor. He used it to mimic phone vibration, testing if anyone reacted. He carried skeleton keys and small vials of solvent that dissolved deadbolt pins. He had waited inside walls of empty units for weeks, mapping tenant schedules. The chemical smell was solvent seeping under doors. They found his entry point, a loose HVAC grate behind my bedroom dresser. The duct connected to the salon downstairs, long closed for renovations. In the crawl space, officers discovered food wrappers and little blue tape rolls, marking which vents led to occupied apartments. Green meant vacation, blue meant single occupant, red meant valuables spotted. My grate bore 2 blue strips, easy prey. I moved out that same dawn. Months later, I still jump at vibrating phones. Sometimes I catch a whiff of chemical cleaner outside a store, and my vision narrows, expecting a strip of tape across the exit. People think security means locks and alarms. Sometimes security is just catching the buzz before the intruder steps all the way out of your walls. On September 14, 2023, in Tallahassee, Florida, I finished a remote work shift at my rented ranch house and shut down the laptop in my home office, then walked the dog in humid dusk, thinking life felt balanced at last. Remote pay, low rent, plenty of space. The tall pines swayed calm over the roof. I slept early that night, but woke around 3 a.m. to a faint rattling inside the vents. The dog growled once, then settled. I blamed squirrels and drifted off next morning. I opened my laptop to find the cursor resting on the upper right corner, as if someone tried to click the webcam icon. Teams had logged out. I shrugged. Maybe a quick auto-update during sleep that afternoon. Delivery notifications pinged my phone, 3 packages shipped under my name, none things I ordered. Motion sensors, smart plugs, and a tactical pry bar. I assumed a stolen card glitch canceled the orders and changed passwords, telling myself cyber theft stays online. The house remained still. 2 nights later, rain poured. Hard power flickered. My UPS battery kept the router alive while I processed spreadsheets. Suddenly, the mouse arrow slid left across the screen on its own, stopped over my email signature, and highlighted my address. My stomach jolted. I yanked the wireless dongle, thinking interference, but the mouse kept drifting, this time down to the recycle bin, then froze. I slammed the lid shut. Heart pounding, checked the back door. It stood locked, yet mud streaks striped the threshold, fresh dark spirals, dog prints, and a second set, larger bare foot marks in the clay, pointing into the house. Not out, thunder rolled. I called the sheriff office. They logged the report, advised resetting Wi-Fi and setting up cameras. I installed a battery cam above the kitchen entry, aimed toward the hall. My phone app let me review clips live. I kept all lights on that night. Nothing else moved except wind pushing gutters loose. At 5 a.m., the camera pinged a motion alert. I watched in bed. Video buffer opened to an empty hallway. Then the dog trotted past, sniffing tail low behind him. A tall silhouette glided into frame wearing what looked like a rain poncho face. Hidden camera lens fogged, then feed cut to static. I dashed out holding a baseball bat. The hallway empty. Dog whined at my feet. The back door still locked, but the latch screws looked stripped. Shiny heads sitting crooked. I shoved a bookcase in front of the door, called in sick, and waited. Daylight gave courage. I inspected every room. Dust on guest room dresser showed new finger lines, spaced deliberate like measurement intervals. I checked attic hatch fine, then remembered the crawl space under the living room flap of plywood covered by rug lifting it. I smelled old earth, cool, damp flashlight beam, caught fresh scrape marks on joists, and something metallic. A slim laptop locked to a portable battery hardwired through a hole drilled up into my office closet. Ethernet cable snaked to my router. Someone sat under my floor, tapping my network. I backed away. Throat-dry deputies arrived, searched crawl space, found blankets, protein wrappers, a small toolkit, and my own spare house key. likely copied from ring set left in kitchen bowl. Weeks back, the intruder had spliced into power tapping extension cords to my outlet. Deputies said the person likely hid whenever I moved room to room using the crawl space to travel beneath the house. Plywood panel inside allowed access to heating ducts. They believed same person accessed vents rattling above me earlier. They sealed crawl hatch with screws and warned me to stay elsewhere. I moved to a motel across town for 2 days. Landlord hired crew, added metal grate locks. I returned, believing nightmare done first evening back. I tested new deadbolt. Satisfied, I brewed tea, watched the yard cam. Dusk glowed soft, no movement inside. I fell asleep on couch. Thunder woke me before midnight. Phone buzzed, camera alert. I opened feed, saw nothing. At first, then static cleared and hallway shot showed my own laptop screen, glowing door to office, wide open. Even though I had closed it earlier, camera's zoom jerked as if manually adjusted, then feed died heavy, thud echoed from back of house. I realized camera adjustments required physical touch. Cam mounted 7 feet high, someone inside again. I locked bedroom, tried 911 but cell had no signal. Wi-Fi jammed. I remembered Ethernet splice trick. Heart hammering. I grabbed attic ladder in closet, climbed up, hoping roof exit window gave escape attic. Dusty hot but clear moonlight slipped through vent. I crawled toward it. Floorboards creaked loud below footsteps, mirrored my path. Intruder traced from room under me, attic vent too small. Panic rose. I heard soft tapping on the ceiling panel under my knees. He knew my location. I crawled back. Found heavy antique trunk centered on joist line, shoved it aside, revealing small service hatch to garage rafters. I dropped through, landed on trash bin, and limped outside. Barefoot, sprinted to neighbor porch, banged until lights flipped. They called police officers, cleared house again. Found crawl screws removed neatly, hinges, oiled laptop gone, blankets gone. Only thing left a message on my office whiteboard, written with my marker 3 words. Keep cursor moving, handwriting. Thin, precise, slanted. They never found person. Landlord poured cement into crawl space vents, welded grates. I abandoned lease, left town, every new apartment since I tape over cursor with sticky note before bed. And I never ignore a drifting arrow, because somewhere, someone waits under floor ready to log back in and finish what they started. On February 7th, 2024 in Redmond, Washington, I closed on a small split level that came cheap because the previous owner vanished during a snowstorm. I felt lucky. The place sat on a quiet cul-de-sac 5 minutes from my tech job, with tall cedars shielding it from road noise. I moved in with 1 mattress, a folding desk, and 3 boxes of books. First night went smooth except the furnace ran hotter than the thermostat setting. I dialed it down. The blower kept humming. I shrugged and slept in a t-shirt with windows cracked. Next evening, I noticed faint scratches on the metal basement door that led to the utility room. They looked old, maybe from moving equipment, so I ignored them. I set up my workstation, activated a new smart lock on the front door, and enabled a phone app that logged every time the deadbolt turned. At 2 a.m., the app dinged, front door locked. I was in bed. I checked the door. Bolt already engaged the way I left it. I blamed software lag and killed notifications. Saturday snow melted into steady rain. I unpacked in the basement. The furnace rattled harder than before. I opened the utility door. Heat blasted out. The burner glowed bright orange, though the dial upstairs read 65. A folded blanket lay beside the water heater where no blanket had been earlier. I figured the bank's cleanup crew missed it. The blanket smelled of cedar and something sharp, like match heads. I tossed it in the trash bin outside. That night, while streaming a show, I heard the furnace shut off mid-cycle. Silence felt heavy after constant roar. Then a single metallic thump echoed below. I descended the steps. Utility door stood half open. The furnace was idle, cooling. A small rectangle of cardboard lay on the floor. It was a food wrapper, the kind used by a local bakery. I had not bought pastries. Chill tickled my back. I closed the door, slid a broom through the knob loop, and tried to shake off dread. Sunday rain intensified. I planned to call an HVAC tech Monday. Around noon, power flickered. rebooting my modem. Smart Lock app logged nothing unusual. I spent the afternoon setting up a home server in the basement rec room. I drilled a cable hole through the wall that shared space with the utility room. Each time the bit punched through sheetrock, I heard hollow clangs, like tools dropped inside the utility area. I thought of the blanket. I set the drill down, opened the utility door fast, but the space looked normal. Furnace, water heater, stacked paint cans. Yet on the concrete near the furnace sat a half-empty bottle of sports drink beads of condensation fresh. My skin prickled. Someone was using this room. I drove to a hardware store, bought a hasp and padlock, and installed them on the utility door exterior. At bedtime, I pushed a dresser in front for good measure. At 3:14 a.m., the house shook with a bang, loud enough to rattle picture frames. I bolted upright. The furnace roared again, hotter than ever, metal pinging under strain. Phone app flashed, basement motion detected. I grabbed a flashlight and the wrench I had left on the server desk, slid the dresser, unlocked padlock. The hasp screws hung loose, torn from wood. Door stood ajar. Heat fogged my light beam. Inside, furnace panels lay scattered on the floor. Burner flames shot higher than design, licking the chamber roof. In that orange glare, I saw a figure crouching behind the water heater, head shaved, eyes wide, skin slick with sweat. He wore a backpack, one strap melted from heat. I froze. He whispered one word, close, like a warning, not a threat. Then he darted through a gap behind the furnace and vanished. I hit the kill switch, doused the burner, and retreated upstairs, dialing 911. Deputies arrived within minutes. We opened the side yard hatch that accessed crawlspace vents. Muddy footprints led from a broken fence panel to the hatch, then inside. Under the house, hidden by insulation, deputies found sleeping gear, canned food, and a tapped gas line feeding directly into the furnace manifold. The man had rerouted fuel, boosting flame to keep the crawlspace warm like a giant radiator. He also spliced power cords from my panel to charge devices. He entered the utility room through a removable metal plate behind the furnace, a feature added for past maintenance, then forgotten. From there, he could reach the basement, the kitchen via dumbwaiter shaft, even upstairs heating ducts. Deputies said he probably lived there since the previous owner vanished, maybe longer. They tracked him through backyards next morning, caught him hiding under a deck one street over. In his backpack, they found my missing high-protein snacks, a spare phone charger, and a paperback I lost years earlier in another city. Same man had squatted in multiple foreclosed homes across the county, moving whenever utilities failed. He chose houses with oversized furnaces he could hijack for warmth. Insurance covered repairs, but the utility room remains scarred, metal warped, paint blistered in shapes that look like reaching hands. Technicians sealed the crawlspace hatch with rebar mesh, replaced furnace, installed CO detectors. Still, each rainy night I hear phantom metal thumps beneath the floor and smell that sharp matchhead scent. Sometimes at 3:14 a.m. the Smart Lock app pings, shows no unlock, just internal bolt vibration. The deputies say the signal is echo, old data packets stuck in cloud sync. I keep the phone on silent now and sleep in the upstairs guest room with a space heater instead of central heat. Because I know a furnace can do more than warm a house. It can hide a stranger who never plans to leave until the fire itself gives him away, and even then his footsteps might linger in code, rattling your phone to remind you cozy heat comes with a cost. Three break-ins, 3 small warnings, tape on a knob, a drifting cursor, a furnace that never cooled. Safety can vanish in the quietest crack of a door. If these true accounts kept you listening, hit like, share this with someone who sleeps too easily, subscribe for more real-world chills, and tap the bell so you never miss the next story that might be happening right now.